Gamecocks playing host to the Seminoles of Florida State University. Hi, everybody. Ron Franklin, and welcome into this rare Saturday afternoon basketball feast here on ESPN. 1 week from tomorrow, all the invitations go out for this year's big NCAA party. Both of these teams last year received invitations to that party. 1990 is not going to be the case for them, though, Larry Conley, but we have to say in their defense that both clubs, South Carolina has gone through more adversity than any two clubs probably should have to, and Florida State has had their bumpy road along the way.
Ron, you're right. When you take a look at the South Carolina club, a basketball team that really has been struck with a lot of adversity. They lost Barry Manning with a broken wrist, and then they had one of their key players, Joe Redd, actually have a pacemaker installed in his chest for his heart. Some terrible problems for them, but one of the beacons really for them, and what has become a very dismal year, has been the play of Eric Sykes. You can take a look at his numbers right here as the starter. He is the only senior on this basketball team and was a seldom used player up until this year.
Larry, of all the players that Florida State could ill afford to lose, they lost. Theron Mays suspended for 7 games. He has just returned, and that was enough of a devastating blow that really didn't help their situation.
Well, it didn't, and they were 2-5 during that period, but there was also a player on that basketball team, as Sykes did it for South Carolina. Take a look at what Michael Polite was able to do for the Seminoles. 18 points and 9 rebounds in Mays' absence. He is one of the really bright and shining stars on a good Florida State team.
So from the Metro Conference, it is the Gamecocks playing host to Florida State.
Well, we're back at the Carolina Coliseum, the Frank McGuire Arena. Just a few moments away from tip-off, let's go to our PA announcer, Steve Siebert, for this afternoon's starting lineup. Steve?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Carolina Coliseum, Frank McGuire Arena, for today's college basketball game featuring your University of South Carolina Fighting Gamecocks and the visitors from Florida State. And give a big South Carolina welcome to ESPN. Here are your starting lineups, first of all, for FSU. At forward, number 20, 6'6" junior from Macon, Georgia, Aubrey Boyd. At the other forward, number 45, 6'7" junior from Daytona Beach, Florida, Michael Polite. At center, number 30, 6'9" senior from Miami, Florida, Irving Thomas. Here are your South Carolina Gamecocks. Forward, number 30, a 6'5" junior from Columbia, South Carolina, Michael Glover. At the other forward, number 33, 6'6" senior from Curry, North Carolina, Eric Sykes. At center, number 55, a 7-foot sophomore from Somerville, Jeff Ralston. At one guard, number 4, 6'4" sophomore from Columbia, South Carolina, Joe England. And the other guard, number 21, 6'3" sophomore from Belgrade, Yugoslavia, Bo Popovic.
And there's a look at the head coach here for the Gamecocks, George Felton, in his 4th season at South Carolina. So we're going to take a break. We'll come back for the opening tip-off of this Metro Conference affair right after this.
It's unreal. The man, it's like he's from another planet. You never know what he's going to do. He doesn't even know. He just does it, and you're like,
duh. They just saw an amazing video cassette presented by Sports Illustrated, starring the most exciting figure in sports today.
who else? Jordan.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
Michael Jordan, Come Fly With Me 1990. Over 40 minutes of the game's ultimate playmaker. Yours free with your paid subscription to SI.
Yes!
Call toll-free and get 26 issues of SI at over 45% off the cover price.
I didn't realize you could save that much.
Including SI's blockbuster baseball.
Here at South Carolina. And for the Gamecocks, #1 scoring defense in the Metro, out-rebound their last 5 opponents. Thomas will go high to send the tip to the Seminoles, and they move on offense.
Ron, interesting to see if Theron Mays has gotten back his legs.
Thomas unlucky inside.
I say that because he really started off the game last week against Virginia Tech, had a great first half and just faded in the second half, and one of the reasons I think Virginia Tech was able to come back and win that game.
Because of fatigue, has not been playing. Glover hands it. Michael, the junior, on a right here in Columbia, South Carolina. The Gamecocks go on top 2-0.
We also want to say a few things about Pat Kennedy this afternoon. The young man has got the flu, not feeling very well, so he won't be his usually animated self on the sidelines.
We'll see. That's what he said before the ball game. Nice defensive play by English as he took Graham's shot and put it out on the baseline to the left of the hoop. 2-0 playing in this first minute here in Columbia, South Carolina. Ron Franklin and Larry Conley. And glad to be with you. Very unusual to be doing an afternoon game, Larry, after how many weeks of being on the night circuit?
You and I have been together almost, what, 10 weeks now, 11 weeks? First afternoon game. Good shot, Aubrey Boyd. Down inside, right in the paint.
Still we're tied at 2. And the pressure out front. But English brings it across.
Florida State does a good job with their man-to-man pressure. They'll always come out, try to press the ball. One man, one pass away. Try to keep it in the distance to shut down those passing lanes.
English try to hit him on the cut, and Mays with a good job defensively. It's going to be stolen by Thomas of the Seminoles. And he'll hold it up, get it back to a guard, and they'll set the offense. 3 if it goes, not there. English battles inside, but I think Graham is the last one to touch it. And it'll go with South Carolina. Immediately a substitute coming in the ball game as Polite will go out, and Rodney Dobard will check into the lineup. Larry, Pat Kennedy walking down the bench and talking to Polite. Only a minute and a half into the ball game, and he has him sitting over there close to it.
Probably a few choice words about his play so far in this first minute. He was really upset. Yeah, he's got the flu. He's just passing it around to everybody over there. He's angry. Angry man right now.
Ralston lost it out of bounds, so turnover against the Gamecocks, and Florida State will come back with it. Tied at 2, just about to have played the first 2 minutes.
You're always interested when you see a player come back after a layoff like Mays has, to see if he's able to keep his game, his sharpness, and his alertness going. First half the other day against Virginia Tech, he was terrific, as I said.
South Carolina in their customary man-to-man. That 3-point attempt, no good, and as they fight inside, winds up with Boyd. 18-footer is there.
Good hands by Boyd. And again, Florida State right back with pressure, man-to-man.
George Felton told me yesterday at practice, Larry, that one of the things that they have done, gets it. One of the things that they have done is play more zone over this period of time with the injuries and losing the people who were regulars.
Well, as I told you at the beginning of the show, we've only got 9 players dressed out for South Carolina. There are more guys with turtlenecks and suits on over there than there are uniforms.
I asked him on a percentage what he's talking about. I said 60-40, and he said probably so. And before that, we were at least 80-20, if not higher. Offensive foul. Thomas will pick it up. It's his first and the team's first. Well, the all-time top Metro scoring defenses, Memphis State leads at 83-84, then Louisville, Virginia Tech, Louisville 4, and South Carolina, look at that, they're going to annihilate that record.
Yeah, they're well on their way to breaking that record. It's a pretty good defensive club, but a lot of it, I've got to credit their zone defense. Something George Felton does not like to do is play zone defense. He's had to with the shortage of personnel.
Glover with the bounce pass out on top to Ralston, and then back to Glover. Holds it up in the paint, nothing there, and Thomas with a good job off the glass.
Thomas, a good rebounder, had 16 of them last week against Virginia Tech.
Boy,
got away with a walk there.
You know, that's twice. He took a little baby step earlier on when he got that 2 points down there.
Popovich.
Crowd right behind us here. I don't think we need to interpret that. They thought that he put a hand in the middle of Popovich's back and gave him a shot, did Thomas. But the official was right there, and he didn't see it that way. Thomas on the turnaround, knocks it down.
Herb Thomas's game has continued to get better as the year has gone on. The transfer from the University of Kentucky really has played well. After they lost all that talent from last year, they really had only 2 players coming back. That was Deron Mays and Herb Thomas. And Thomas really has had a good year for the Seminoles.
Yeah, he and Ralston, 2 big bodies. That's going to be goaltending against Dobard. Polite will check back into the lineup. And also coming in for Florida State, well, we'll tell you in just a moment. Timeout on the floor, 15:59 left in this opening half, and we are tied.
The only way to travel is Cadillac style. Some people want more.
Cadillac Fleetwood for 1990. With a new, more powerful V8 engine, full-size 6-passenger luxury, and standard anti-lock brakes, nothing is more distinctive. Except perhaps the person who owns it.
Cadillac, Cadillac, Cadillac style. Cadillac, Cadillac, Cadillac style.
Michael Jordan. Yo, Mike, what makes you the best player in the universe? Is it the vicious stumps?
No, Mars.
Is it the haircut?
No, Mars.
Is it the shoes?
No, Mars.
Is it the extra long shorts?
No, Mars.
It's the shoes then, right?
Nah.
Is it the short socks?
No, Mars.
Money, it's gotta be the shoes. Shoes, 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 shoes. You sure it's not the shoes?
I'm sure, Mars.
What about the shoes?
No, Mars.
Money, it's gotta be the shoes.
Having played 4 minutes in the second, we've got a tie in this Metro Conference basketball game ending the season here. Let's watch Rodney Dobart get up. Even though this is called goaltending, I want you to look at how high he gets up, Ron. This young man can get up in the air. It's one of the things Florida State's got to be awfully pleased about, having him around for another 4 years, the freshman out of Delray Beach, Florida.
Well, we'll see if the next time that South Carolina comes into the paint, if there is any intimidation factor. Field goal percentage, 60%. South Carolina, 8 shots already taken by Florida State.
South Carolina, a little three-quarter court trap right there. Pretty nice job. A little change of pace. Zone defense now by South Carolina. And again, something George Felton does not like to do, but because he doesn't have the number of bodies around that he needs to have to play that man-to-man defense, he's gone back to this, and I think it's helped him a lot this year.
Well, Dobart made a good move, but he failed to put the ball on the floor. Traveling is called against Florida State. Yeah, that goes back to what I was talking about just a moment ago. Is the long outlet pass to English. No, fighting back, and hello. Oh, my goodness.
How about that, sports fans? Was he up in the air? Whoa! I think Dobart was looking for another rejection, and all he got was the ball in his face.
Dobart at the other end misses it. Popovich gets the carom. There's nothing. I was so happy when college basketball allowed that to come back, but there's nothing that will electrify a crowd. As you see, nice cut and pass, and Sykes will go to the line trying to complete the three-point play. Nothing turns him on any more than that dunk.
Well, I tell you what, they got everybody in this place jumping up and down, including you and me. Pat Kennedy right there upset about a call on the opposite side of the floor. He wanted a foul called on the move, on the offensive move.
Well, as far as the Goodrich 200, don't forget, stay with us. We'll be showing the conclusion during our telecast here during the basketball game. So no despair, it'll be on. Sykes completes the three-point play. Carolina with the trap in the backcourt.
Pretty nice look right there. Sykes with a good trap at midcourt. They trap at 2 locations, down low and right at midcourt.
Hands who just came into the game, and a foul was called on the floor. And actually, there's no argument. JoJo English picks up his first, and he looks at the official and smiles and says, yep, I got him across the arm.
I don't want to belabor this point, but that might be one of the best jams I've seen all year.
Well, particularly with 3 guys all around him, and he didn't stop to look. 11-6, the Gamecocks jumped out to a 5-point margin. They won that opening matchup down in Tallahassee.
Nice inside-out game. Thomas didn't have it, now got it back. Bad shot.
Ralston, good job with a hand in his face.
Thomas needs to recall that shot. Send that one back to the body shop.
Good ball movement by South Carolina. As soon as I say that, English holds it up.
Florida State, good man-to-man pressure. South Carolina's got a good half-court game.
Sykes not there, and Polite skies for the rebound.
Second leading rebounder in the Metro Conference. And came back from a very, very tough disease last year. Again, Mays long range misses his 3rd three-point attempt.
And that's going to be an offensive foul.
There was an amazing thing last year with Michael Polite and Guillain-Barré syndrome that he had. And the fact that he's been able to come back, as we look at Pat Kennedy there talking to David Zimroth, his assistant, for him to be able to come back and play basketball this year after that debilitating disease, actually had to walk around campus with a cane.
And
Good steal by Mays. Going to the other end. He caught Sykes napping. Mays with a jam of his own.
First 2 of the afternoon for him, and it's 11-8.
Popovich now handling the basketball. Lorenzo Hand's a good defender. Pat Kennedy likes his defensive work. His offensive work has been lacking.
$11-8 our score, and we're going to 13:25 left in the ball game. Hands will go out. Ron Miller, who is a sophomore out of Tallahassee, will check in. So with our ball game 11-8, we're going to go back to Chris Fowler for South Carolina. He's already picked up 7 points in his first 9 minutes of the first half. And in the fouls, JoJo English has picked up his second. Not the only thing to report as far as any kind of damage as far as fouls. Turnover, South Carolina 5-4.
South Carolina back in that zone defense. Florida State moves the ball on the perimeter very well. South Carolina will always pull that defense back inside. Ball goes in. Collapsible defense moves back out when the ball comes out.
Copeland with the feed over to the corner, and in and out won't go. English comes down with that errant shot by Graham, and Popovich not going to miss this one.
Somebody's got to be back on defense. I think Pat Kennedy really upset with his guards. Both Graham and Copeland were too deep on that particular shot, and they didn't get back. Popovich took advantage of it.
First 2 for Popovich this afternoon. Yeah, Graham was deep in the corner. There's no way in the world he could get back.
You've always got to have the floor balanced. Somebody down, ready to play defense.
That's right. If he's there, somebody else got to be on the outside. Popovich going to pull it back out. Glover. Sykes along the baseline. Pretty good collision there. Florida State basketball.
This is an interesting call. I thought we were going to get a foul one way or the other as George Felton, hands on hips, is wondering the same thing. And really, there was no reason to call a foul. Official right down the line. Now look at this. Sykes makes the move. Oh, the ball went right off of his leg. That was a good play. Copeland got it slapped from behind.
That's a great no call. Florida State now 0 for 5 from 3-point range. 9 minutes and 40 seconds left until halftime. That one went off Lesso's head, who just checked into the ball game. Now through his hands, and Lesso picks up the foul.
Aubrey Boyd with a lucky carom right here. The ball kind of gets kicked around on the inside. He tries to force the pass in there, and once it doesn't work, Popovich comes off, goes off the hands of another South Carolina player. Boyd right there, opportunistic, right off the glass.
Aubrey Boyd, 1 shot.
That'll be changed. Michael Glover picked up the foul. It's his second. Team foul number 5 in South Carolina.
Polite didn't get a foul right then over the back. Polite got up in the air.
I was wowing the free throw.
Mr. Polite is not polite about going up after the basketball. Florida State back in their man-to-man defense.
17-13 our score. 3 if it goes from English. Not there. Boyd clears for the Seminoles. It's been a very rapid first half and misses on the layup. Thomas tries to hurdle over him. English with the feed, and Sykes had too much of a head of steam. He was not at the top of his jump.
What you do in a situation like that, Ron, catch the ball, come down, get your feet underneath of you, and go back up strong.
Stefan Eggers prepares to check in for South Carolina. Thomas squared to the hoop from 8, and he buries it. 17-15 now, a 2-point game.
Nobody underneath to stop that shot.
Lesso almost let it get away. Popovich backs it back up to almost the midcourt circle, holds 1 finger above his head. His ball club leading by 2. Just under 8.5 minutes until intermission.
Stack offense, they've got Sykes open.
Got the screen, worked perfectly, and he got the home-friendly bounce.
It's amazing when things are going well for you, how well they really go. He's having a good year. He got a couple of good bounces right there and drops through the net.
9 points for him now. 9 of the 19 by South Carolina.
Luck is opportunity, meaning hard work. Zone again by South Carolina. 1-2-2. They match up out of it. Their first alignment is 1-2-2. Then they find somebody in that zone. Good move by Thomas.
Thomas, good quick turnaround. Got it over the top of Lesso. but on the return, Boyd scoring the 2, and he will go to the line for an opportunity at a 3-point play. That's now 8 points for him.
And all of a sudden, Aubrey Boyd's becoming the man of the hour. Watch him come down and get this steal right here. He got the good strong rebound earlier, came back and got a steal a few minutes ago on a layup for a 3-point attempt. Good pump fake right there. There's the foul committed down inside by Eric Sykes.
Sykes with the foul, his first 16 foul.
Oh, Aubrey Boyd having a nice afternoon so far. Maybe he likes day games better than night games.
Looking for his 9th point of the afternoon. Can't get it to go, but he goes and finds the carom, but he stepped on the baseline. Timeout on the floor, 7:41 until halftime. South Carolina 19-17.
Introducing the last word in bodybuilding from the first name in weight training. This is Lee Haney, 6-time and reigning Mr. Olympia. And now his renowned 3-day workout is on video cassette. This is the most comprehensive weight training program ever offered. Totally unique, totally different. The Lee Haney workout shows you the secret of building body tone and muscle, increasing strength, and attaining the attitude of a winner. But this isn't just another weightlifting video. Lee will show you how to get the most out of your body, no matter what shape it's in now, and without the pain and strain that's been holding you back. You'll discover how to meld your mind and muscle into fine-tuned partners in performance. The Lee Haney workout is only $39.95 plus $4 shipping and handling. Call toll-free 1-800-542-2300. The Lee Haney workout is not available in stores. Call now.
And Michael Jordan and Professor Douglas Kirkpatrick of the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics. Yo, Professor, how does Mike defy gravity? Do you know?
Michael Jordan overcomes the acceleration of gravity by the application of his muscle power in the vertical plane, thus producing a low-altitude Earth orbit.
Oh, what?
Do you know what I mean? Do you know? Do you know? Do you know?
Money, check him out.
Blair, here's the storyline so far. 4 under 7 to play until halftime. It's now 4 points for the Seminoles off turnover. And we are tied at 19. Looking for Eggers inside. Waite has got him tied up. Glover, not there. Ralston inside. Nobody boxed him out as Eggers came across behind him.
I'll tell you what, Herb Thomas looked like he was flying into the 3rd row. I think he got a little bit of help going over there, too.
21-19. Home team on top. Good, quick first step, and Polite's going to go to the line. Ralston picks up the foul.
Ron, you know this was a Florida State team that coming off of last year. They had such a terrific year. Pat Kennedy getting him into the NCAA tournament last year. But they lost a #1 draft choice in George McLeod, who's playing with the Indiana Pacers right now. Tony Dawson, Tad Hunter, all good players and guys that played for a number of years there at Florida State. And anytime you lose the caliber of players and the seniority that you've got there, and you got players coming along, it takes them a little while to get adjusted. And I think this club is going to be awfully good in the future.
Glover goes out of the ball game, and Sykes comes back in as Polite at the line. And George Felton, this is one of those things where, you know, 6 and 7 in the conference, 13 and 12 overall. But it is a year that, as things just kept going downhill for him, if thinking what else can happen, and something else would find its way of happening.
Well, if you're going to talk about future of basketball team, South Carolina's is very, very bright. The fact that they've only got one senior, and that's Eric Sykes. Look at the Florida State.
Look at this Florida State. 11 games decided by 4 or less. 8 games decided in the last 5 seconds, and 5 games decided at the foul line in the last 5 seconds. Mays with the long pass. Not there. Thomas on the follow. And Dobard was fouled as he got whacked across the face. And it looks like JoJo English has picked it up, but if it is on English, that's 3 on him.
And he's going to have to go to the bench, and George Felton knows that.
Foul on JoJo English. His 3rd foul.
Well, that's the case. 3rd personal foul on JoJo. Sophomore from here in Columbia. He's been the Iron Man. He's played 40 minutes, 4 of the last 5 games. And Larry, if you check in that 5th game, he played 39 in that one.
Dobard, one of the, as I said earlier in this first half, really one of the shining stars on this Florida State team, just a freshman. One of the great shot blockers, I think, for the future of this Metro Conference and for Florida State. He needs to work on the other parts of his game. Sykes just reached in and took that one away from Graham.
Took it away after Florida State had gone on top by 1. And now the Gamecocks can go back in the lead. Eggers misses on the short jumper inside. And the Seminoles wide in the wings. Back to the middle to Thomas. Can't get it to go, and that's going to be on Sykes, his second.
You know, both clubs are really handling the ball well. They're dribbling, they're passing, very few turnovers, but they're not finishing the plays off. Look at this good pass down inside. Thomas right there turns, just simply shot the ball short. It's a good pass by Mays. You got to be able to finish the play. You can dribble it, you can pass it, you can get it in the right position, but if the guy doesn't make the shot, all of that dribbling and passing goes for naught.
Coach Felton got JoJo English out of the ball game. Thomas now with his 6th point of the afternoon. 3-point lead for Florida State with just under 6 to play till halftime. Popovich gets whacked. Graham fouled him. And that's still only 16 fouls against the Seminoles.
If you watch Florida State play their defense against Popovich, they try to force him to his right side. He's a left-handed player, he's a left-handed dribbler, and they really try to work to his right side, push him that way.
That's the point I was trying to make a while ago, and I said, you know, he actually does a pretty good job as far as moving down toward that right baseline.
But he has those mechanisms of a foreign player. He still has it, and he still hasn't refined those edges that we have talked about. Although I'll tell you one, I did one game this year where he actually had 10 steals in a game.
Eggers counted, and he'll go to the line.
Stephon Eggers down inside. Let's watch it from about the 38th row. Look at the pass down inside. Good catch. That's the way you do it. Finish it off. And give yourself a hand.
First 2 points for him. Extra out of West Germany. He actually has seen very limited action recently.
I'll tell you one thing that George Felton's got. He's got a very cosmopolitan club here. A couple of guys from Yugoslavia, one from West Germany.
I looked at that and I thought for a moment there it looked like a Mediterranean law firm. Ignatovich, we haven't seen him this afternoon.
Dobart, good shot down underneath.
3 points for him now, but it's 26-23. Florida State as we're about to hit the 5-minute mark until halftime. It's going to be stolen to the Seminoles. Boyd. And they break out 4 on 2. And Dobard, too many steps.
You know, Boyd just made a great pass. They're running the break. They got the lanes filled. He's in the middle. He lays a nice bounce pass out there, and then Dobard travels. He walks by to Boyd, and Boyd slaps him on the backside and says, okay, pal, I'll give you another one later.
This is interesting. English comes off the bench. Still got just under 5 minutes to play. Sykes goes out. Sykes just picked up his 2nd foul.
With English's 3 fouls, he's got to be very careful.
That's what I was going to say. We'll watch him with the defensive end and see if he does back off some.
You got to believe they go to a zone. I got to believe South Carolina will go back into a zone.
Mays on the long rebound. Back over to Boyd in the middle. This crowd thinks that maybe a couple of walks should have been called on the Seminoles this afternoon. Tally the hoop, but it's a 5-point margin. Florida State leads. Popovich handles it, and traveling is called against South Carolina.
You know, in European ball, you get 3 steps. You know, they'll allow you to take that ball, almost tuck it under your arm, and just anybody you can get to and lay it up. Because I've played over there. I know how those guys are. Popovich just tucked it under his arm, took 3 steps. Over here, that doesn't count. In the old US of A, they call that a walk.
Mays left unattended, and over the top of the zone, mashes it.
That's his first 3-point field goal he's been able to make tonight.
7 points for him. And it's 31-23 Seminoles. We had 4 minutes left until halftime. Ralston with the head fake.
And I thought Thomas gave him a pretty good bump, too, when he went in there. Good control of his body. He's a big youngster. 7 feet, 245.
That's 7 points for him now. Crowd trying to get into this one here at the Frank McGuire Arena.
Good catch by Mays.
Very few athletes would have gotten that one. Thomas tips it inside. Ralston comes now with a rebound. Let's see if Florida State can, or rather South Carolina can chip away at this lead. Both teams in the bonus, if you're wondering about fouls. 3:20 until halftime.
Not much pressure on Popovich now. Mays was out there. He's kind of looking at him. Pretty good idea. Popovich ought to be trying to take him.
4-3. Ralston got boxed out inside. South Carolina comes away with it anyway. They bring it back. Michael Glover.
Look inside. Two-man game. English tries to look.
Eggers going to take it on to the hoop. Running jumper is good.
Pretty good move. Right down the lane.
He's got 4 points. And it's a 4-point game.
He got up early and had his sauerkraut and Wiener Schnitzel this morning. He's ready to play.
Thomas left alone. Ralston got a hand in his face and he still knocked it down. Had to take the left hand off the ball even to kind of shield his defensive player away. It's good body control by Thomas.
Watch the half-court game down inside. Good screens by South Carolina.
Traveling called against South Carolina, so the Seminoles will get it back. They're going to go away for a moment. 33-27, Florida State.
Right here between these two Metro Conference teams. Let's take a look at Ralston down in the middle. A little bit better ball fake here. Not much ball shown on that fake, but he still got down the lane. Thomas gave him a little bit of a bump with a hip. The ball hung on the rim and fell through the net. Pretty good move by Ralston. I'd like to see him if he's going to play that post position. If I were his coach, I'd like to see him show a little bit more ball, a little more authority in that pump fake.
Got a photo to show you right here. I think you're, well, put your hand over the left side of the screen. Could you have told me who that was?
I could have, because I saw him play.
Formerly played here with the Gamecocks. Bobby Cremens, of course, the head coach, Georgia Tech. Nice move and pass inside and on the reverse, scored 2. Lorenzo Hands.
A darn good move. He knew he was going to get blocked on one side. He just took it to the other side.
Back to an 8-point ball game, and the Seminoles can push it up to a double-digit margin, and they do. Ron Mays now with 9 points.
Ron, that was a good defensive play by Mays. Maybe he's gotten his legs back. He's had a good first half. That was a good defensive play because he came off of his man to give some help.
Inside Ralston. Nice job of reversing the turn and squaring the shoulders. Knocking it down.
You know, this guy's going to get better. Ralston's going to get better. He's got the size. He's got a little weight.
Only a sophomore.
He's got a little foot speed. He can move.
2 3-pointer on the way, I should say. Sykes with the rebound for South Carolina. I'm not sure Pat Kennedy wanted that 3-pointer put up from right there. Waite has come into the ballgame. You see number 44. The name on the back of his jersey looks a little brighter, a little different from the rest of the players out there. He came after football season. He is a football player, and because of all the attrition that they have had, they have used him, and he's played pretty well for them. Popovich, not there. Thomas loses the ball. Lesso will miss it, and the follow by Ralston.
Ralston says, thank you. I'll take these 2. This one's easy. Well, they had a couple of easy shots missed right there. I tell you what, had they not gotten a basket on that trip, I think George Felton would have been an upset coach.
Well, Lesso missed the shot and then had the ball go through his hands. Ralston now with 8 points. That's what he averages per ball game. Had a good first half.
Yeah, Mays is back. Good move, good shot.
And just before we go to double zeros on the clock, the 3 is good. So it is Florida State taking advantage of the 3-pointer by Larry Conley. Is in fact, the South Carolina was up by 8 points in the first half of this ball game. They're down by 9 in a 17-point swing. Yet when you look at the numbers, you say, why?
Well, I think the thing that amazes me is the fact that they're out shooting Florida State. They're also out rebounding them. So obviously there's another problem. It has to be on the floor, and it is. It's the turnovers. They had 12 in the first half, and here's what Florida State's been able to do to capitalize on those turnovers. 19 points off of turnovers, and here's one of them right here. A good steal by Theron Mays. He did this again later in the first half, but here's where he picks up one jam off of a steal, and that turnover and 11 others in the first half is the reason why Florida State has this big lead right now.
Well, let's take a look at the first half stats, and when you see these numbers, it also will verify what Larry was saying, and the fact that for South Carolina, in field goals, 15 of 30, 50%. That's not going to lose you a lot of ball games. Rebounds, they're up there by a pretty good margin, but in turnovers, that's where they don't want to be. And of course, as far as three-point shooting, that they are 0 of 4. Larry, there was a jam in the first half that English up there that may have been as good as any we've seen all year long.
Yeah, let's watch Michael Glover, the inbounder right here. He's going to throw the pass about 87 feet, and on the recipient end is going to be the man who's going to jam this basketball, and I'm going to tell you, he does it, JoJo English. Look at Robart all over him right there. I'm not sure a foul shouldn't have been called when he went up. He got hammered pretty good. JoJo English with a little bit of jumping ability.
And of course, what JoJo's got to be careful of is he has 3 personal fouls. In fact, he's the only one of the game who is in jeopardy as far as foul problems. 40-31, our score at halftime. Our scoring leader, Mays for Florida State with 12, Ralston for South Carolina with 10.
You know, one of the stats I was looking at in the previous game that they played in Tallahassee that South Carolina won, Theron Mays was 2 of 16 from the field down there, and one of the reasons Florida State was not able to pull out a victory down there in Seminole land.
Florida State did not shoot a good percentage at home that night. Mays tries to pick it up where he left it off in the first half. Not there, and that will be South Carolina basketball.
I'll tell you, had a great first half was Jeff Ralston. He was 5 of 5 from the field and had 6 rebounds.
Boyd with 10 for Florida State. Also 8 points for Irving Thomas. Good first half for him. Sykes with 9, a couple of players with 4, JoJo English and also Stephon Edgars for the Gamecocks.
Florida State opens up in a man-to-man defense. Good lob to Ralston. Goaltending. You know who did it? A 6'3" guard. Watch Graham go up on this pin. It's going to be called goaltending, but a good lob pass over Thomas's head. Ralston with a good catch. Ball on the glass. You know what the determining factor is? It's got to be going down. If the guy pins the ball as it's going up, they don't call that goaltending. It's got to be on the way down.
12 points now for him, and the Seminoles throw it away.
Not a good start for Florida State here in the second half, but a good one for South Carolina.
33 South Carolina, 40 Florida State. Graham picking up Popovich even before the timeline. Sykes, nice job in the give and go. Ralston on the follow.
Hey, Ralston's got 14 points already.
And Florida State wants a timeout. With 19:02 left in the ball game, it is 40-35, and the Gamecocks closing ground quickly.
In the
timeout said, hey guys, don't make me feel any worse. I've already got a head cold.
Jeff Ralston was giving him a headache right there at the beginning of the second half with 2 stickbacks. Already with 14 points. He's gotten the first 2 baskets here in the second half. I looked over at him. I made a motion to him. I said, how are you feeling? I put my hand up on my forehead. He looked at me and stuck his tongue in. Not feeling well. Coach Pat Kennedy, a little bit of flu.
Roy Williams the other night we were out in Norman. Head coach from Kansas was having problems with a head cold. Nice turnaround.
That'll make you feel a lot better. Pat Kennedy happy to see Michael Polite get that first basket of the second half, and it came about a minute and a half into it.
Back to a 7-point ball game. Glover left alone. And Polite came out to pick him up, and Thomas steps in front and gets the steal.
Right, you got to position yourself much better down inside. They say make yourself big inside. Ralston is big. He's 7 feet, 245, spread out. Learn to receive the pass. Go get it. Don't let the defender jump around you and steal it.
3-pointer on the way, not there. inside Graham, and the follow, and English has just picked up his 4th foul.
That was a great rebound on the inside by Graham because he got it over a taller player in South Carolina in English. JoJo English had the inside position. The ball carried him a little long. Graham right there to pluck it off.
Thomas partially blocked by Ralston. Oh my goodness, they called a foul on that, and it looked like he got basketball. 3 fouls on him. No movement from the South Carolina bench to retrieve English, and I guess
what are you going to reach
George
down?
felt it. Yeah, where are you going to reach down
yeah,
to?
That's right. Where are you going to reach down for? Maybe he's going to take his coat off and he's going to play. George, you've been out of it too long. You can't come back.
Thomas with his 9th point of the afternoon.
I looked at a great picture of him back in the 70s when he was playing here. Looks like a kid. In fact, you know, he still looks a little bit like that. He's got a pretty young-looking face. The body's worn out a little bit, but the face looks all right.
44-35, back to a 9-point margin. That's what we had at halftime.
Good defense by Florida State. Man-to-man, there's Thomas all over Ralston inside. Got to deny him that basketball. Guy's gotten 2 baskets in there. They want him to get him the ball again inside. Watch him work for position. Steal again? Yes, sir.
Waite knocks it on the floor, takes it away from Glover, and another turnover against the Gamecocks. Mays holding it outside as the Seminoles can take it back to a double-digit lead, which they had just toward the end of the first half. Thomas on the jump hook, and he knocks it down. Just over 17 minutes to play. Florida State by 11. Let's go back quickly to Chris Fowles. Chris?
Okay, fellas, we're going to go to a thrilling finish in the Missouri Valley Conference. A first-round game, Tulsa and Bradley. The teams are tied in the final minute. John Paul Delacamera and John Albright.
It is 69-69 in the Pepsi Missouri Valley Conference Tournament. This is the 2nd game. Bradley has come back from a 10-point deficit. We had 10 lead changes in the first half alone, and then Tulsa blew it open by 10, and then Bradley has come right back. A great gutsy performance from Curtis Stuckey, 24 points despite tendinitis in his left knee.
Well, a very gutty performance by Bradley because Luke Jackson went out with well over half of the game in the second half remaining. Andy Bastock went out with over 10 minutes, and Jay Shell, all these guys, three of their top 6 players are not in there.
Houston's going the wrong way. They've got 10 seconds to get it over. Waite, they just beat it. Look out on the floor, Waite. Tough turnover for Bradley. And what it means is that Tulsa can, if they choose, hold for 1 shot.
Good look at Stan Albeck. What a great performance his team has been able to come up with. But Tulsa, with 39 seconds to go, JP, they hold all the cards. They can run it down to 5 seconds, take the last shot, enough time to go for the offensive glass.
And Tulsa wants a timeout now to talk things over. Before they were in a position of defending and then talking about what happens when they get the ball. Now they have the ball, so the roles are reversed, and Tulsa can talk about setting it up. Do they want Shields? They don't need the 3-pointer. All they need is really a single point to come away with a victory. It's 69-69 as they talk things over. On the Bradley side, Stuckey is the one in foul trouble. He can't afford to go on.
Good look at the Bradley huddle. You're right. Now they're changing gears. It's all defense. You got to take a close eye out for Shields. Let's take a look and listen to what Stan Albeck has to say.
That's number 1. They shoot and miss. You're bringing. Okay? They shoot and make. Okay? They shoot and make. You're bringing. Okay? Coming in as quick as you can. You take the ball in. All right. X, you're getting down the floor. Charles, you're in the backcourt. Curtis is in the backcourt. The big thing that you want to do, okay, we have got to contest this 1 shot. And you got to rebound the basketball. And then bring that thing. Look behind you. Okay? If you have any problems, timeout.
His last command, if you have any problems, timeout, timeout.
And if you're Tulsa and J.D. Barnett, again, you have the luxury of taking the last shot or shots of the basketball game. Look for him to run it down. Maybe with 5 or 6 seconds to go. Shields hit the big 3-point shot. couple of...
Yeah, Florida State and South Carolina.
Thanks, Chris. 50-44. What was an 11-point lead just about a minute and a half ago. South Carolina has cut back into it. But in the interim, Ralston has picked up his 4th foul. And also JoJo English with 4 fouls for South Carolina.
And here comes that man-to-man pressure again. Look, Graham is really giving Popovich a hard time handling that basketball today. You know, Ron, after a while, that begins to really tire you out. If you're the guy handling the ball all the time, you got a defender who's in pretty good shape, as Graham appears to be. He can be a little weary. Look at Graham. He is all over Popovich.
Foul called on Graham.
That time he literally was all over him.
It's his 2nd. I'll tell you, I'd have to think Bobby Bowden, I'm sure, watches his Florida State basketball team from time to time. He has got such great feet. I'm surprised Bobby hasn't talked to him about a little defensive back work.
Mays goes down. English is open. It's a 3.
English back-to-back 3-pointers, 10 for him in the afternoon, and it's 51-47. Seminole lead has been chopped away by 7.
Florida State needs some patience, some poise. They need a big basket here. Good pass by Mays.
Polite, too far underneath, and English comes up with it. Foul on the floor, no shot. George Felton is up and saying he was in the air. The officials contending foul was on the floor.
You know what? Pretty good move by Mays. And he disguised what probably was an intentional foul. I mean, the fact that he was able to get to the guy and perhaps get to him before it looked like an intentional foul, push him off balance a little bit, referee makes the call, and it was a foul. Felton won the intentional.
Polite and Graham out of the ball game. We'll give you the subs in just a moment. Timeout on the floor, 51-47, Florida State. Coming to you from Columbia, South Carolina, 51-47. Florida State had an 11-point lead just about 3.5 minutes ago. English on the running jumper, not there. On the floor, Ralston loses it, and Sykes will come back with a retrieve. Popovich for 3. And an air ball, and that took a little of the air out of the crowd there for a second. Thomas inside, and Ralston is gone. It happened so quickly, Ralston had himself trapped.
You know what's the sad part of this? Watch Ralston almost make the steal here. Look at this. Got his hand on the basketball, got it away. Thomas with a pickup. Here's Thomas with a good strong move. Ralston with a foul. The official with a hand in the air, fist clenched. That's his 5th one.
Larry, I really think if he had not taken a half step toward him, if he had just put up his arms and maintained his position, I'm not sure they would have called a foul on him, but took that half step, and it's almost like the light came on. He said, oh, wait a minute, I've got 4.
Well, that takes away their inside scoring threat now. It probably is going to, you got to re-emphasize the scoring now to the outside. And English has got 4 fouls. If he goes, they could be in real trouble. English up with the basketball. Theron Mays is right there with him. Dobard's got him with a foul on a push-off to Eggers. Eggers had the good position in there, and Dobard was trying to fight him for it down in the lane. Good screen down inside.
Just over 13 minutes to play in this one, Larry, in a 7-point game. Almost a steal then by Boyd. Sykes can't get it. Dobard skies for the rebound.
South Carolina looks like they're back in a zone defense. Matchup. Mays with a fist in the air. Let's see what Florida State runs. A nice baseline jumper.
Sykes almost had it knocked away by Eggers. English going to pull up and can't get it.
Thomas with a good strong rebound.
It's one thing he does so extremely well. Irving Thomas averaging 7 rebounds a game.
Larry, for the moment, as the ball goes right through Boyd's hands, turnover Florida State. It'll come right back to South Carolina. As you've seen happen before in ball games, you remember this when you were playing. When you get a guy who gets in early foul trouble and all of a sudden you lose him, it does take the wind out of your sails for just a second.
Yeah, it does. When you lose a key player on the inside like Ralston, who's had such a good basketball game, you got to start looking at who else can pick up the slack. So right now, it's got to be Sykes and it's got to be JoJo English. The 2 guys have got to pick up that slack.
Foul Florida State. That's going to be the 4th team foul of this half. I'm very happy to say that Frank McGuire has come down to put on a headset and join his coach. It's always great to see you. Welcome to the telecast this afternoon.
It's wonderful being here, and I appreciate you inviting me down.
Well, when you're building, we've got to invite you down.
No, that doesn't go with the contract. It's all right.
Coach, how about this South Carolina team this year? It's been kind of up and down for George, hasn't it?
Well, it's been devastating with injuries. He's had such bad luck with injuries that I'm amazed that he has the record he has.
Glover now with 12 points in the afternoon, and it's 54-48. I'd love to get your comment about the style of basketball and what it appears that most conferences are going too rapidly around this country. Do you like it?
I like it very much. They're changing their defenses. The biggest change I see is a lot of them are not afraid to go into a zone now. At one time it was a no-no. Now they're switching zones back and forth, and that's a big difference.
South Carolina back in what looks like a matchup zone right now. Florida State trying to attack it, trying to look for an opening on the inside. South Carolina denying it. There they got it inside. Dobard.
Dobard can't get it to go down. Saved to Popovich by Sykes. He better be terribly careful. He ran all the way to the other end of the floor. He'll get a tee. That's 2 fouls on him. Coach, yesterday afternoon I saw you out here at the workout. Do you come by most days to watch the kids?
I do. I come back and talk to the boys and talk to George. I watch it very carefully. But the lineup is so changed because of injuries.
And some of these retired numbers that are atop this facility.
There's one of your players right there, John Roach. Back in the days when you were still a member of the ACC, when South Carolina was still in it, when they didn't used to take everybody who didn't win conference tournaments.
Well, you see, football men ran the conference at that time, and they didn't know the difference. And as much as I would talk to them, they thought, well, only one team should go.
Put a great deal of pressure on those games during the season because it meant only one team was going to go out of the league, and you had to win your conference tournament at that time in the ACC to be able to go to the NCAA tournament because they only took 16 participants.
Well, the year we won a national championship, we had to beat Wake Forest 4 times in the same conference and win all the games in order to go. That was ridiculous.
Jim, let me explain something that happened just a moment ago. If for the folks sitting at home, Sykes makes it strong to the hoop and short. That ball went off the 45-second clock and came down through. That's the reason it was ruled a turnover, and South Carolina came back. We got a 4-point game.
And South Carolina right back into that 2-3 zone. Florida State has had some success getting the ball inside against this zone, and South Carolina trying to move it back in. Good cutoff right there. Good double team. Now Mays has to reset the offense.
Ron Miller back in the lineup for the Seminoles, number 23. About to go under 10 minutes to play in this ball game.
Florida State showing a lot more patience this trip than they have in several trips. Good fake by Miller.
Shot clock was down to 4, and he nailed it.
You got 2 guys to go for that fake.
Coach Larry and I were talking just the other night when we were out in Norman about the new format for the NCAA and what has happened with the tournament as Boyd picks up the foul. You got to be in love with that situation as far as what it has done for college basketball.
Oh, they're just sharing the wealth, which is wonderful. In other words, 64 teams now, and any good team can get into the tournament. That's the big improvement. Plus, the money is very important.
You bring up a very important point, though, as far as the pressure now on coaches. And you guys had pressure when you were coaching, but alumni are asking for a heck of a lot now, and it's there is so much money involved. Are we going to have to be careful as far as making sure it is maintained as a healthy situation?
Yes, definitely. You have to watch it, but I'd still rather have it the way it is now than the way it was.
56-52, 4-point game with 9:45 left to play. Dobard gets a rest.
Ron, South Carolina's been able to eat into that 9-point lead that Florida State had at halftime. They've gotten it down to 4 now, and if they can get a couple of turnovers here and get this crowd back in the basketball game, they'll be in pretty good shape. Florida State seems to have regained their poise after that initial run by South Carolina.
Graham back in the lineup. Mays with the lob as he plays catch with Thomas. Polite along the baseline. Nice soft touch.
The thing you're going to do with a zone defense, you can't allow the guy to penetrate that zone defense. If you allow him to go inside, there's a lot of people he can pass to. Mays got it inside to Polite that trip.
Some other players with retired numbers.
How about
Kevin
that player,
Joyce.
Coach? Kevin Joyce?
Oh, he's a great basketball player. Great. So.
Mays picks up the foul for Florida State, and that's 3 on him. Coach, we got another one we're going to show you here as far as retired numbers. Alex English.
Alex English. Well, nobody thought he was as good as he is, actually. He was so smooth that, and not bulky, for instance, that I had a hard time getting him with the pros.
A lot of guys are not interested in him.
That's right. In fact, the first time he worked out with Milwaukee, he was turned down. But I called back and they gave him another chance. And they were very happy about it.
Played in 9 NBA All-Star games.
Oh, he's sensational.
By the way, I saw one of your ex-players, Brian Dunleavy, came out of retirement last night. An assistant coach with the Bucks. They asked him to come out and play, put on the uniform, and made a 3-point field goal.
Mike Dunleavy.
Hard-nosed Irishman.
Miller is going to take it to the hoop. Almost lost the handle on it. I'll tell you another stat about Dunleavy, and I don't know if they keep these kind of numbers in the NBA, but you probably didn't know. That guy read more than anybody I've ever seen. I used to do some Rocket games. He could go through a book in one clean play.
Mays with a long shot. Look at Graham with a good strong rebound. Polite kicks it back out. They reset it. Good move by Polite. They could have taken a bad shot right there. Gotten a little bit out of control. He decided to give it to Mays and let him go back to Thomas.
Thomas with the turnaround. Will not go with 8.5 minutes left in the ball game. South Carolina can cut it to 2, and they do. JoJo English with 4 fouls.
Now the crowd's back in the game.
Mays got it.
You talk about ice water. He had just missed one the last trip down. Decides to come back and do it again. He looks at the crowd. He put his finger up over his mouth and says, shh, be quiet. I just hushed you.
61-56. We've just gone under 8 minutes to play in the ball game.
Well, look at Sykes.
Guys, and that ball is blocked by Thomas inside, and Mays comes away with it. Now they trap in the corner on Miller. Graham for 3.
Pushed off.
Light pushed off.
You know, it's almost like a reflexive action. You get yourself in position, you see the ball coming, it's going to be a little short. You just have a tendency to want to reach up and push the guy out of the way that's in front of you.
That's 3 fouls on him. You know what? They are now saying Ralston comes back on the floor. He had 4 fouls rather than 5.
He only had 2.
Because Ralston had 1 at halftime. They have. I saw a game earlier this year when our kid had fouled out, and we said in the area had fouled out. It was in the UNLV and the Loyola Marymount game, and he played for a couple of more minutes, and all of a sudden, with a sheepish look on their face, they blew the horn and said, I'm sorry, you're out of here. So Ralston officially only 4 fouls. So he is back on the floor. He thought he had fouled out also, though, because he voluntarily headed toward the bench.
Yeah, he did. I think everybody in here is thinking, and we did. We thought he'd fouled out.
No, he gets frustrated. He walks right to the bench, which he shouldn't do, of course.
Coach, you never had any players who got frustrated and came straight to the bench. They didn't want to face you.
No, we had him hide out there so nobody'd find him.
Going to stay with Florida State. Well, there's a timeout on the floor with 7:02 left in the ball game. Coach, before you take your hit, thanks so much for coming by. It's always good to visit with you. Frank McGuire, gentleman that they named the arena after here in Columbia. Thanks for coming by. We'll be back in just a moment.
Nothing beats the excitement of Championship Week. It starts tonight, live on ESPN.
Well, immediately following.
More to all of us.
I'm not so sure he wasn't a little surprised, too.
Gamecock still back in that zone.
Well, it's worked well for him, Larry. This was an 11-point game in favor of the Seminoles about 2 minutes into the second half. Turnover, Florida State.
You know what? The 45-second clock had expired. They didn't get a shot off.
Left in the ball game. Forgot to check it after the timeout. 61-56.
Good lesson right there. Always have a timeout. You come out of your huddle, take a look at that clock and see what you've got up there. Ralston wants it back again. Oh, good move around Thomas. Good block by Thomas.
Locked inside by Thomas, and Mays with a layup. I'll tell you what, Graham was also up there with a hand on that ball.
Florida State's got some jumping jacks. Thomas, one of them.
Mays now with 17. Let's take a look at that block one more time, Larry.
Well, you talked about Thomas going up to block the shot. Watch Graham also. Right here. Look at this. Thomas got it. He got all of it. Mays got it and took it the other end, laid it in. Polite with a big rebound. Florida State now beginning to pull away again.
You could hear the groan from the crowd as the big fella had just excellent position. Kiss it off the glass and missed it.
Ron, this game's kind of ebb and flow. You know, one team will get a run, then another team will get a run, then another team gets a run. They just kind of been handing it back and forth to each other.
We just got under 6 minutes left. 63-56. And now the patience of Florida State is helping as the shot clock down inside 15 when the shot was taken.
Florida State back in good transition defense. Popovich had nowhere to go with it. Florida State still man-to-man.
Sykes banging inside. Count the hoop, and the foul is on Boyd.
Well, Sykes made a great move across that lane. Thomas, as he is so wont to do and do effectively, set up and draw the charge. Watch him get his position right here. He comes off and helps. He leaves Ralston. He sees Sykes making the move. Got his hands up to defend. Takes the charge. Pretty good move. Really a good move on both guys' parts. Oh, Mays with a great pass.
Polite jams it home.
Well, was that a good look? Polite right underneath. Good angle pass. Good cut.
8 points for him now. 65-58. Florida State. Ralston loses the ball, and the Seminoles break it out. It's going to be Boyd with the easy layup and finger roll. And across the way, George Felton just looks toward the sky and sits back down. His club down by 9 now. English will call a timeout for South Carolina, and we'll take it with them. 4:44 left in the ball game, and the Seminoles have pushed it back up to 9.
And there was an excellent pass, really, from about midcourt all the way under the basket by Theron Mays. Now watch him look up at Michael Polite. Be alert, keep your head up, and see if anybody's ahead of you. Good angle pass, and he threaded it between two South Carolina defenders.
Fast break points, 12 for Florida State and 4 for South Carolina in the ball game. Field goal percentages, both of them hanging around the same area, just under 50 at 48%. Well, here are the timeouts left. Florida State 3, South Carolina 2. Possession error will go with the Gamecocks. And team fouls, well, Florida State in the bonus, South Carolina needs 1.
Actually, they'll go into the bonus on the next foul.
Yep. 67-58. Ron Franklin and Larry Conley. Carolina Coliseum in Columbia.
It's nice Frank McGuire coming by to visit with us. Always a pleasure to see him.
Well, I saw him out here at practice yesterday. We talked for a little bit, but I think it's great that a coach, three on the way, tip inside, credit at the sites. Some head coaches might not want the former coach coming around, but when you're talking about guys like Frank McGuire, I'm sure George is glad to see him around here.
Well, some counseling too. I mean, guys always need that. I mean, you got to have some people who've been around the game for a long time, and that always provides a wealth of. Well, ball run it, great pass, and Boyd missed it.
Oh my goodness, Boyd looked like the first guy out here to the workout.
I was going to say, it just provides a lot of help to a coach to have somebody like that that you can draw from.
Waite with the jumper, and he swishes it. First two for him. And now it's back to 5. We have 3 minutes and 40 seconds left to play in the ballgame.
That may have been a big miss by Aubrey Boyd down inside.
I don't think there's any question about a maybe. I think it is.
Big 4-point turnaround. The 2 they lost, and the 2 that South Carolina got.
South Carolina's not looking for answering hoops right now. Foul inside, and Thomas falls the violation with a push. I beg your pardon. Okay, it is. The official pointed back over, and Waite looked at him and pointed at himself like, you didn't call that on me, did you? Yeah, it is on Thomas. And you can see Coach Kennedy is a little disbelieving.
Pat Kennedy's not calling for a doctor for any tablets right now for that flu. He's calling to those officials.
And he wants to call a timeout more than anything so he can possibly get a closer conversation with the officials. So 3:22 left in this one. A 5-point game in favor of Florida State. One of the really gorgeous spots in this country. And the Vintage Chrysler Invitational, Seniors Golf.
You ever played out there?
I have been to Indian Wells. I have not played that course. And what is it? Big Jack comes out in a couple of weeks. Tell you what.
You know what?
Hope he's been working a lot because Lee Trevino has just been shooting the lights out of him.
You know, the Seniors Tour is getting really competitive, and they've got such great personalities among those older guys, kind of guys like you and me.
You know, let's put it this way. Maybe a better way to say it is it has been competitive, and of course, Bob Charles just shot the lights out last year, but he is not quite as vociferous as Mr. Trevino or Chichi, who has played extremely well on that tour. And of course, the Hill brothers have played very well on the Seniors Tour.
Irby Thomas with a good, strong rebound inside, and Florida State now with a 4-point lead. 3:15 left to go in the second half.
About to hit 3 minutes left in the ball game. 4-point lead by Florida State. Thomas loses it. English, there's a case for the 4 fouls and couldn't go after the ball, Larry.
Yep, Boyd right there, too. If he had not been there, it would have been South Carolina's ball. Now, they still got 18 seconds left on the shot clock. They did not get a shot off. Remember that. They've already lost 1 possession on running over the shot clock.
And actually lost 2 because of Boyd missing the layup inside, which was a short 2. Shot clock is down to 3, down to 2. 3-pointer on the way. English has it tipped away by Thomas, and a new 45 for the Seminoles.
Big save. And again, they didn't know how much time was left. The bench had to let them know. Good cut by Polite. Good pass by Thomas.
Coaching staff looked like jumping jacks across the way trying to get their attention, pointing up at the shot clock.
You know, get oftentimes, and I think this happens a lot to college basketball players. They get so ingrained into running that half-court offense. If you come out of a situation where you've had a steal or something has occurred out of a timeout, out of a commercial timeout, whatever it is, they have a tendency to just go ahead and run their offense and forget that they don't have a full 45 left.
Ralston checks back in. Waite will come out of the ball game. Waite, the football player, also basketball player out of Warren, Ohio. Was an extremely good athlete in high school. Come on to give some minutes for the Gamecocks and has been helpful. Eggers just came running off the bench to go flying on the floor. George Felton reached up and grabbed him in the arm, He had changed his mind, and they both almost went down. It looked like a bad dance routine.
Stefan's laughing about it over there.
Polite can't get it to go, and nobody boxed out inside. Mays with certainly the biggest two of this half.
Boy,
70-63.
You talk about a killer. That kills you. Mays with a foul on English. Have a guy sneak in like that and just have an easy tip in with nobody blocking him out.
Look at him laughing. And the coach's reaction.
Watch this. Kennedy happy? Felton says, how in the world can you let that happen? We're into March, something we worked on in October, blocking out at the free throw line.
4 fouls now on Mays.
JoJo English, 2 shots.
$15 points now for English. You
Right on.
Consider this youngster's played with 4 fouls almost the entire second half.
It's right on his season's average. Now English out there at the point of this attack on this defense. Got to be very careful. There it is.
And he is just fouled out.
I think I should not be premature.
I was to say, that's 5 anyway. We could be going on Big East or SEC rules here. I'm not sure. They didn't sneak that one in on us, did they? $16 points for JoJo, and you'll hear a really warm round of applause.
Pretty good ball game for that young man. And he's average today. Played a good floor game.
He's another one, very young, only a sophomore from Columbia, South Carolina, right here at home. He really turned it up a notch, actually, in the second half with 3-point shooting. Because at halftime, he only had 4.
Boyd
misses.
Yep.
So 5 points with just over 2 minutes to play. Not there. Boyd inside with a good positioning, and the outlet pass to Mays.
Yeah, that's a good move.
Going to circle it back out.
1 on 4. Take it back out and set your offense. You're ahead. You're on the road. Chance to win a game away from home.
Glover with his 3rd foul. Less than 70, record of 3-9 for the Seminoles. 70 or more, they're 12-5, and they sit on the 70 mark right now. In fact, 69 has been their favorite number. What, 3 of the last 5 games that they played? Seems to be the mark they'd hit, and they couldn't get off that.
Well, Mays walking up here, probably the best free throw shooter they've got.
Particularly in the final minutes of the ball game. 71-65 with 1:50 to play.
Up by 7. Almost a steal by Mays. Oh, he got it. Waite got it.
Waite got it and called an immediate timeout. 72-68. 5 points for him, and we have 1:42 left in the ball game. They are on their feet here in Columbia. Could it be?
Yea, there comes a time in the life of a man and a woman when they must assume the responsibilities of adulthood and leave behind those toys of youth, which though they may runneth fast and give pleasure to the soul, yet leave no room for family.
The Mitsubishi Galant Sports Sedan. It's not only fast and gives pleasure to the soul, it leaves plenty of room for family. Yay. For added pleasure, factory-to-dealer incentives can save you up to $1,000.
Mark and Rennie and little Lindsay are a young family just starting out. They don't have a lot of money for life insurance. I'm their State Farm agent, Gaylord Mooseman. Instead of giving Mark and Rennie a big life insurance sales talk, I did a lot of listening. And we came up with a plan that's going to work for their budget and little Lindsay's future, too. State Farm agents are good listeners because we want you to have life insurance you can live with.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Florida State has a 4-point lead. We've got 1:42 left in the second half. Watch Clayton Waite, the defensive back from the University of South Carolina that George Felton decided to use, and with good reason. Look at him kick. He had to kick it up there. He was so far out, he had to use his legs to get some leverage, to get the ball up.
Larry, we got two youngsters sitting behind us. Both are ninth graders here in Columbia. They keep up with his team really well. And the first thing they were hollering at us during time, I said, "He's the walk-on. He's the walk-on." He said, "Yeah, we have told him." Well, he did. He kicked with his feet to get everything.
Oh, what a great pass. Thomas missed it.
Knocked out of bounds by South Carolina. Going to stay with Florida State.
Well, that was a terrific pass by Aubrey Boyd. South Carolina came out with a lot of pressure. Florida State decided to use a little bit of their pressure offense and use a backdoor cut. Thomas made the right cut. He just didn't finish the play.
Sykes comes up with the steal, and Boyd retrieves it. And Waite will pick up the foul.
Clayton Waite clips Aubrey Boyd. Tell you what, if he goes after running backs the way he just went after that basketball, South Carolina's got a pretty good defensive backfield next year.
One more look at what happened. Sykes almost gets the steal.
Very close to coming up with it. He almost got it, tried to save it. Here's Waite on the undercut. Aubrey Boyd had missed one just a few seconds ago. Just came back to make the first of a 1-and-1 and give Florida State that 5-point lead.
Boyd with his 16th point of the ball game. Great rotation of the shot. Eggers comes in. Ralston goes out. 1:22 left in the ball game.
Ooh, he got away with one right there.
Got away with a walk there. Glover with the bouncer inside. Eggers has it sent back downtown by Thomas. 6 points now for him. 74-70. 1:10 left in the ball game.
Popovich has got to be careful. He doesn't want to foul this guy. He can shoot his free throws.
Graham goes to the corner to Boyd, and Boyd has been fouled. Sykes will pick it up, and now we check, and at the free throw line, 70% on Aubrey Boyd, the junior from Macon.
You know, he was 1 for 4 from the line before he walked up there the last time to make those 2 free throws. They've given himself a little bit of confidence to walk back up and make these 2.
4 fouls on Sykes. 58 seconds left. Rattles it down as it barely hugs over the front of that iron.
A lot of people think this is an easy shot. A lot to think about out there when you got this going. I think that's one of the problems with the shot. You got too much time to think about it. Thomas with a rebound.
Eggers has picked up the foul, and he looks over at his head coach on the bench. And of course, that is twice in really big situations in the last 5 minutes of this ball game that Florida State has come up with a rebound following a missed free throw.
But Teron Mays put his back in the basket. That time Thomas got it, kicked it back out, and got fouled. You know, that's the thing that drives you crazy about this game. Those are things you work on in practice from day one, October the 15th, blocking out on the free throw line. Don't let the guy get the jump on you. And today, it's really hurt them.
Tell you what, Thomas almost didn't draw iron, and he gets his own rebound. 50 on the game clock, fouled in the backcourt, or Glover will pick it up. Well, coming up next from Indian Wells Seniors Golf, and at last report we had, it was Lee Trevino leading by 3 strokes over Don Massengale in the Vintage Chrysler Invitational. Second round coverage coming up immediately following the basketball game. Mays knocks it down, and of course the point that Larry was making just a moment ago, all the people you don't want to foul in this club. Him primarily.
Very calm, very cool, collected. Suck it. Now South Carolina needs some threes. Sykes says, no, I'm taking it all the way. Charge.
Offensive foul. Free throws in the ballgame. By the way, interesting story. South Carolina 9 of 13. Florida State 22 of 30. Now on the board, they are showing 5 fouls on Sykes. And he will, in fact, sit down. And
I'm a little gun shy to call it.
Oh, I know it. I am, too. JoJo English standing right there next to him. And South Carolina now trying to call a timeout. He doesn't have to do that. He still has got time left. But George Felton is utilizing this time to walk all the way down the baseline and stare at the officials. Ralston checks in, 77 to 70. Florida State leads. Now we hit 40 seconds left. They're going to call an intentional foul on Popovich. Well, Popovich picks up the foul, but you can see the crossed arms, and it is intentional, which means the 2 free throws and the possession of the ball back by Florida State. Let's take another look at it.
Take a look at Bojan Popovich right here. Mays is trying to get away from him. He just reaches out and grabs him. You can see the official on the right-hand side with his crossed arms.
I think the reason he called it is because of the body contact. He almost looked like he was cross-checking him before he reached out for the ball.
Here's a not very happy coach right now. You know, this is going to be a big win for Florida State if they walk out here with this, because they were beaten by South Carolina down there.
South Carolina calls a timeout with 41 seconds left in this one. 79 to 70. Seminoles on top of Chris Fowler. Let's throw it back to you for just a moment.
Reminder, golf follows basketball. Second round coverage of the Chrysler Vintage Invitational. See if Lee Trevino can hold on to that lead. Then championship week begins this evening at 7:30 Eastern Time. The championship game of the MEAC Conference, North Carolina A&T and Coppin State. Northeastern Conference championship game, Monmouth and Robert Morris, following that at 9:30. And then New Mexico State and UTEP, a WAC game at midnight Eastern Time. Let's run down some scores now as we have the chance here. Number 1, Kansas, an inspired Jayhawk team in the final home game for the seniors, crushing Iowa State. Jayhawks 28-3 in the regular season. Missouri, not so fortunate, crushed by Notre Dame 98 to 67. Monty Williams has 14 points as the Irish snap a 3-game losing streak. In the ACC, number 23, Clemson, being blown out by Georgia Tech 85 to 69, as Clemson should drop to 10-4 in the ACC. Out in the Pac-10, number 16, Oregon State, and Arizona gets their revenge 87 to 60 as those teams split. Both teams are 15-3 now in the conference. Midwestern Conference, number 19, Xavier, upset in a thriller 111 to 108 on the road. Dayton's 7th straight win. We're going back for the final seconds of our game in Columbia, South Carolina, Florida State and South Carolina. Let's go back to Ron and Larry now.
Thanks, Chris. Coming down the stretch on this one. And then seniors golf. Boy, Georgia Tech and a win over Clemson.
How about Notre Dame today against Missouri?
Yep.
You never know.
Texas with a big win this afternoon, 10 points up at Rosemont Horizon over to Paul.
Georgia Tech with a big win today over Clemson. That was a big one in the ACC.
Mays just going to dribble it around for as long as he can before he gets fouled. And he almost lost it backcourt. Picks up the dribble. 5-second count. With 5 seconds left in the ballgame. Now the storyline on this one, 24 of 33 from the line. Florida State 73, 28 points off turnovers, and 16 turnovers for South Carolina. Horn sounds, and this one is history, as South Carolina goes to 13-13 on the year, and for Florida State, they go to 16 wins and 14 losses. So the final again, 79 to 70. Florida State wins it for Larry Conley. This is Ron Franklin. Chris Fowler, back to you.
Okay, thanks, fellas, very much. Florida State taking a halftime lead and holding on, and those two teams split. each winning on the other's home court. Reminder, golf is coming up next, and we'll see you right back here at 7:30 as
he drove. Well, he takes it to the basket, and they get on top of the ball. That's what happens. And then right there, Cadillac Anderson has him, and he tried to grab him, but he couldn't hold on to him.
Another look at it, and it looks like his right arm and shoulder take the brunt as he hits the deck in the paint.
Boy, it really does, and it looks like, you know, as you said, that his shoulder did it. I think Anderson meant to give the hard foul, but he took his feet out from under Michael at the same time.
We'll keep tabs on what happens, take a break, and come right back in just a moment.
It sure is. It's going to be tough to remember saying the right name. A visit to Warren Harding's football practice and what it's like for those who competed against certain players and now teaming up with them. We'll have that story coming up in Big Board Sports. This afternoon, the Bucks looking up at New York in the standings, a game back in the National League East. With 14-game winner Frank Viola pitching for New York and Montreal, Pittsburgh knew going in they would likely need a win against the Cubs to stay a game back in the division. Bobby Benet and Andy Van Slyke, the hospital this morning for knee surgery, has only minor ligament damage and no repair is needed. Worley will be sidelined for 2 to 3 weeks, but will be ready for the opener against the Browns. Worley banged up a knee in a scrimmage last week against the Redskins. The Browns and Bears, who play in Saturday's Hall of Fame game, are two clubs in similar positions, both dominating powers in the mid-'80s, but now considered to be on the decline. Even the Bears camp outside of Chicago used to draw big crowds. Attendance is down by about 25%. If the Bears are to return to contention in the NFC, they'll need a big year from former All-Pro defensive tackle Dan Hampton. 12 years in the league has taken its toll on his knees, which sidelined him much of last season.
I think this team has a chance to really be back. And I'm kind of curious to see about week 8 what everybody says about us. It'll be like old times, and everybody will be saying, well, I never said they were done. I can't wait for that point in the season when everybody's going, well, I knew they'd be back.
We'll be at the Hall of Fame game Saturday, and we'll find out if the Bears and Browns truly are teams on the decline. High school football camps have opened, and the season kicks off 3 weeks from tomorrow. Today we stop by Warren's first week of practice, and it's a new beginning with the consolidation of the two high schools. 77 young men have come out to play for the Warren Harding Raiders.
Harding and Reserve for years were two of the top rivals in high school sports in the state of Ohio. Now they are joined as one. Although there is a ton of talent in the program, some think it will be difficult to succeed right away because the players from the two schools will find it difficult to unite as one.
There's no problem. Most of us are already friends from junior high and stuff. When we went to the same junior high, and we're just all back together again.
Given the job of bringing this group together and feeling the most pressure may be Coach Phil Annarella. Warren fans are expecting a powerhouse. Anything less than a berth in the state playoffs will be considered a disappointment.
I think there should be high expectations, you know, when you consolidate two excellent football programs that we've had in Warren, and you would like to think that the talent's going to be there and that numbers are going to be good, and they are for the most part. So, you know, we're excited. We're very much looking forward to this season.
It may take a while getting used to saying Warren Harding Raiders, but it's a name that will be feared by their opponents. The players we talked to say they can put aside any bitterness towards each other in hopes of bringing a state championship to Warren High School.
No, there's not really any hard feelings. We all have a desire to win. We want to bring a state championship to the community of Warren, and so we get along just fine.
How good will they be? Well, they have a running back that's 6'5", 250 in Myron Elsie. They have an offensive line that Bud Carson would love to have in Cleveland. So they should be dominating. It's going to be a great football season again. Right. Also tonight, I got to mention in Newcastle at Sylvan Heights Golf Course, Jim Schultz on the back 9, hole-in-one on number 11, and number 16, 2 holes in 1. That's virtually unheard of.
That's tomorrow's trivia.
Yeah, really.
Pay attention. Right.
Trivia tonight, Don Mattingly, 1987, hit 6 Grand Slams, the most in one season.
Right. Tonight, not only will we look at the conferences in Ohio, but also the schools to watch in Western Pennsylvania. Throughout the next hour, myself, Matt Saunders, Mike Ackelson, and a list of local high school coaches will take an in-depth look at the upcoming grid season as WFMJ Sports presents High School Football Preview 1990.
In pursuit of the national championship. We'll introduce you to this season's powerhouses, dark horses, and Heisman hopefuls. So unpack the sweaters, dust off the football. The race for number one is about to begin.
Catch the race for number one next Saturday at 4, right here on WFMJ TV 21.
Pat, what a season it was last year. Could it possibly be topped this season?
Well, if you listen to the football coaches, they're all going to win 5 games. That's it. No one's going to do any good. No one will go to the state playoffs. But there's a lot of talent out this year, and it could be a repeat of last year.
One league that definitely will be stronger than last year, I believe, is the City Series, bringing back some top players, and some of the teams that had somewhat of an off year last year are coming back. So let's get right into it. Check out the City Series. The City Series has always been known as a division deep in tradition. And last year was the Rain Tigers showing the way, capturing the league with a 4-0 mark as they posted a 6-4 record overall. Now this year the Tigers are expected to only be stronger as they will return captains Pat Humphrey and Craig Powell.
We do have Pat Humphrey returning. He was second-team All-State quarterback last year. Probably one of the finest option quarterbacks in the country. At least he's rated in the top 5 in the country. And we have our tight end, Craig Powell, who had All-State special mention last year. And Craig's rated as one of the top tight ends in the country, in the top 5.
Now, Coach Turco realizes 2 players don't make a team, and he's hoping for a lot out of his young players.
We'll be playing a lot of young kids that are untested. But like we had 3 freshmen that lettered last year, and they'll be starters this year. And these young kids are just going to have to come through for us.
Meanwhile, finishing second in the City Series last season was the Wilson Redmen. They posted their best record since 1951, finishing 3-1 in the league and 6-3 overall. They were also named 21's Division II Team of the Year. But this year, Coach John Kopp is going to need a lot out of some new faces.
We expect to be competitive, Chuck. We lost a lot of outstanding players from last season, kids who have gone on to college to play football. Keith Queener at the University of Akron, he played in the North-South All-Star game, and Jermaine Spivey's on a ride at Bowling Green. And we have some other players who are going to Division II and Division III schools. But with the kids we have coming back, we expect to be competitive. We will be young on the line. But the kids that we have talent, but it's just going to take a while for them to get the experience.
Also, Kopp is hoping for a lot out of junior quarterback Alfonso Camel, who will hopefully be able to carry the big load for the Redmen. As for the East Golden Bears, they finished up last season at 2-2 in the division and only 3-7 overall. But head coach Jaron Jenkins is hoping for a lot more out of the Bears this season.
We got quick speed. We're big in numbers. Kids are willing to play this year. I think this team will come a long way because they have good attitudes and they're willing to learn and they're eager to play this year.
Some other major strengths for the East Golden Bears this season will be at quarterback, where Darnell Bracey is expected to pick up all kinds of yardage, and also their 2 big tight ends, Tony Cochran and James Scott. Meanwhile, the Cheney Cowboys finished up last year with a very disappointing 1-3 mark in the league and an 0-6 tally out. But this year, the Cowboys look like a different team. They'll be coming back with 4th-year tailback Matt Gilchrist, who will definitely carry the big load for the offense. And Coach Ron Burtis says he's just excited to get the season underway.
Well, we're real optimistic. We're excited about this year. We lost 5 games by a total of 15 points last year, and we were in just about every football game that we played. And we got some good kids coming back, and we had a great offseason. We feel that we're bigger, stronger, faster than we've been, so we're excited about this year.
Overall, look for Cheney to be a much-improved team from last season. Meanwhile, another team that had their problems in '89 was the South High Warriors, as they went winless. It looks like they may have problems again as the numbers game continue to haunt head coach Ron Demescu.
Yeah, this is one of the lowest turnouts in my 13 years here at South High School. I really can't explain it other than the fact that I think maybe the season's starting too early. A lot of kids work summer jobs. Other kids don't want to make that commitment that early in the summertime.
Nevertheless, the players Coach Domesco does have in camp are definitely giving 110%.
This bunch right now pretty much has been doing that. They're working very hard. They're giving us 110% effort. And I look for good things out of this bunch this year.
Also, the Warriors will have a new twist at quarterback as basketball standout Booker Newberry will be calling the signals.
He decided he wanted to play football, and we're real pleased about that. But again, he's very green and very raw. I think if we could just do some things to take advantage of his talents, I think he can develop into a nice quarterback.
Overall, the City Series looking to make their mark once again. Don't forget, league games will be played at Stambaugh Stadium this season with 6 Thursday night affairs.
Pretty tough league this year. Look like they'll definitely be improving. A lot of Booker Newberry, a quarterback. I like to see that. Probably take a lot of guys to bring him down. But like you said, the numbers really hurting their team. How about the MVC? You know, last year 2 teams going to the States. How about them? You checked them out this year?
Well, you know, it's a league that's been kind of dominated in the past by Struthers and Camel, but you know, last year JFK came up. They had the big year. They went to the state finals, and I think this league this year is a toss-up. There's so many good teams. You got Canfield, Salem, and of course Camel and JFK. So you know, it's a toss-up. What do you say we take a look at them, see what they're about?
I hear you, Pat.
Right. What's he doing there? The Mahoning Valley Conference will be hard-pressed to repeat last year's banner season, with 2 of its teams ending up in the state championship game. One of those was the Warren JFK Eagles. They won the league championship with a perfect 6-0 mark, and head coach Denny Zolchek admits their success from last year poses a problem.
It's a different attitude because I think these kids know what do you do to top last year's accomplishments, you know, and the only thing that you can do to beat that is win the state title now, you know, and you know, I don't know if we have the talent to do that myself.
Stay low, stay low. This is a young football team that could start as many as 5 sophomores, but they do have size and veteran quarterback Tim Ryan.
I think he has a real good grasp of the game. He's nice and tall. He's about 6'3". I think he's improved his throwing skills and so forth. So, you know, he's our bright spot.
The lone blemish for Camel Memorial, last year's runner-up in Division III, was the JFK. The Red Devils do return some experience this season, but it will be difficult to replace the likes of Sean Patton. Capping off the 1989 campaign with an 8-2 mark were the Indians of Girard. Head coach Joe Jeswald brings 5 starters from a year ago with him this season. The team as a whole has that great winning attitude.
We've got kids who are hard-working, hard-nosed kids, and they're having fun playing the game of football. We're more enthusiastic than I think we've been.
One of the areas of concern for Jeswald and his staff is the people up front and their lack of experience.
We're going to have to win along the offense and defensive fronts. We're going to have to do a good job of blocking up front, maintaining our blocks, and a good job of coming off and tackling people defensively.
The new guy on the block, back for his second go-round, is Pete Perrone at Struthers. Perrone sees this as a rebuilding year for the Cats, and again, it's the linemen that need the work.
We're going to be starting a lot of young kids there, and they have to come through. You know, we think our defense, because of our speed and everything, is going to be real fine. But the offensive line is the one that we're going to have to win to open up some holes for our backs so they can go through.
The Cats do have that one intangible that defenses can't stop: speed.
Our backs and receivers as much speed as we've ever had that I can remember, and you know, linemen, we're not real big, and so we do have some speed in that area too. So that definitely is going to be our strong point, is our speed.
Head coach Jeff Bayek sees bright things for the Canfield Cardinals in 1990. Quickness is one of the strong points for Canfield, along with their size.
This is the biggest team that we've had down here for 5 years. And also, we have some good quickness in the backfield. Rob Donahue is going to be moved to fullback, and Pete Ostapek will run a tailback, and they both run about a 4.5 40.
One point Coach Bayek made is that he expects his seniors to lead the way with their experience.
This is a big year for us, I think, because we're senior-laden. I don't consider it a rebuilding season. I think next year we'll probably be rebuilding. We'll have a lot of young kids that are inexperienced.
Salem is yet another team in the MVC on the rise. Head coach Fred Kunar has 15 seniors returning, and that's a lot for the Quakers.
We had a very young team last year, and right now we have 15 seniors returning. We have good senior leadership, and we're looking at them carrying us through the season.
It will be power football when Salem has the ball. Kunar sees ground control as a key to their success.
We've got to keep the other opponents off the field offensively, and we want to keep that ball and control it in a short passing game, running the ball, and try to put points on the board.
42 players turned out for the Poland Bulldogs when two-a-day started. Head coach Reed Lamport reports the Dogs have a little bit more quickness than in the past.
We don't have, blazing speed, but we have better overall team speed, so that's got to help us. Plus, we had a good weight season, and so we're stronger than we've been and a little bit quicker, and so, add those together, hopefully it's going to prove to be successful.
However, as with every other team on every level of football, the game is won with the people up front.
How well our young kids come through for us on the offensive line is going to be how well we develop as a team. We've got what we feel is some skill offensively. They just have to prove themselves.
Well, joining us now is Tony Delbane, the secretary of the MVC. And Tony,
the inter-county football season should be an interesting one, as all the teams seem pretty much equal. But the football season is a long one, and injuries plus underclassmen stepping forward can make the difference from finishing first or last. Let's start our look at the inter-county football league with last year's champion, Berlin Center. They went 6-0, 8-1 overall. Berlin Center returns 13 lettermen plus junior running back Eric Eichert. Last year, Berlin Center lost to McDonald in the playoffs, but Coach Bob Topoleski says his club has set some high goals for this season.
Our players, our seniors, set our goals, and they have set some very high goals. Some goals that actually are a little bit tougher to gain than what we did last year. And it's going to be a very hard job to gain some of those goals.
Our next team has a lot of question marks to fill this season, as McDonald High lost starters from last year's squad that was the Division 21 Team of the Year. With only 3 starters returning, McDonald will rely on seniors and juniors who led last year's undefeated JV squad. Fred Galt, an assistant coach, says the ICL will be very competitive this year.
I think this is one of the years where you can't really leave anybody out. I think they're all going to be very strong. A lot of returning players. You've got to look at South Range and Springfield and Berlin Center and Lowville, Jacksonville, and all of them. Columbiana's last year in the league, and I think they're going to really want to come out and go after the teams that they're not going to get to play again. So I think the league is going to be very competitive.
Now our next team is coming off a 4-2 ICL season, but South Range coach Rich McClellan has the luxury of having all of his offensive linemen returning, and they average over 6'2" and weigh in at the plus 200-pound range. Plus, South Range returns its entire backfield from last season. South Range is the team that all ICL coaches are mentioning as the team to beat. Now, Lou Lowry's Mineral Ridge squad is next. They're coming off a 5-5 season, but with 14 returning lettermen, Lowry is optimistic.
To bring back 9 letter winners, this is probably one of the fastest teams overall that we've had. We have probably 9 kids that can run under a 5 flat 40, which for our level, that's pretty good speed. Overall strength, we had a good off season in the weight room. We're pretty optimistic about this.
Our next club is coming off a disappointing 2-4 ICL season, but Springfield coach John DiRenzo has a good returning senior class along with 14 returning lettermen, but his most explosive weapon is quarterback Mark Brengard, who was All-State last season and threw for over 20 touchdowns. Coach DiRenzo's offense is like the run and shoot, because when you play Springfield, you know they're going to throw the ball. Springfield could be another team that if they filled some voids, they're going to be in the running for an ICL championship. Jackson Milton is a young team, but Coach Walt Vrabel says they're just going to do the best they can.
This year, we're going to be really young. We have a first group that looks really well. We have some hard-working kids, but our second group is we're getting down to the sophomores and freshman group. So we're just going to do what we can and try to be the best we can be.
One injury could prove costly for Jackson Milton, but if the Blue Jays stay healthy and the underclassmen step forward, Jackson has a shot at a successful season. Our last club is Louisville, who is coming off an 0-10 season, but first-year coach Gary Barber is ready to turn things around at Louisville, and after last season, there's no place for this squad to go but up. There's a look at the Inter-County League, but as for our guess who's going to take the championship, well, it's as good as your guess because the whole league looks like it could be very good and competitive. For 21 Action Sports, I'm Mike Ackelson.
1990, Pat, what can you say about the Steel Valley? There's only 4 teams, but they're definitely all tough ones.
Oh, there's no breathers in that league. No matter who you play in that league, you're in for a tough night, you know. And as good as the league is now, it's only going to get better next year with Warren Harding coming back into it. But it's just probably one of the best leagues in the state, if not the country.
I hear you there. Let's take a look.
The Steel Valley Conference, year in and year out, is one of the best high school leagues in the country. And this year should prove no different. In Austintown, the defending champion Fitch Falcons are coming off an 8-2 season, but they've only got 2 starters and 9 lettermen returning.
We've got a lot of holes to fill from last year because we graduated basically 20 starters out of 22 fellas. So there are a lot of question marks for this season coming up.
One of the variables not being questioned by Coach Hartman and his staff is the team's attitude. It is a hard-working group that is determined to keep the Falcons' winning tradition intact.
We do have a bunch of kids that really seem to have a great attitude, you know, really team attitude, a hard-working group. And there's some talent there, and it's kind of spread out.
Having been hit hard by graduation, the Falcons may field a team that is very young.
In some cases, our backup may be a sophomore. And in some cases, there's a possibility that we might even have a sophomore starting.
In 1989, the Urson Irish lone defeat during the regular season was to the Fitch Falcons. Head coach Dick Angle welcomes back 8 starters from the regional runner-up, and they are the preseason pick in the Steel Valley. Size, speed, and depth are just a few of the things the 1990 Irish have on their side. Finishing with a 6-4 mark last season was the Boardman Spartans. Head coach Bill Bourne brings 11 starters with him to the 2-a-day practices. The main gun for Boardman is quarterback John Ryan, who can light up the scoreboard. 16 lettermen returned for Coach Bourne, and the Spartans are sure to improve on their 1-2 mark in the Steel Valley from last year. Perennial state powerhouse Cardinal Mooney has only 5 starters coming back from a year ago. Head coach Don Butchie has concern about their lack of experience everywhere but at running back.
We have some speed at tailback,